Ever wonder what's really going on in the depths of space? There are truths NASA has been hiding from us for years. From mysterious bases on the moon to eerie footprints and hidden areas on Mars, NASA has been involved in activities they fear will finally come to light. Shocking leaks are revealing what's really happening in space. What is NASA hiding from us? Let's take a look at 20 shocking leaked NASA photos together. A lost document from 1959 sheds light on a dark period in U.S. military history. This document, titled Project Horizon, reveals a daring and secret plan the United States once had to colonize the moon. This wasn't just about exploration. It was an attempt to seize the moon, as if it were a territory waiting to be conquered. The story of Project Horizon begins at the height of the Cold War. Tensions were high, and the U.S. was in fierce competition with the Soviet Union. The Soviets had stunned the world with their achievements in space, and the United States couldn't bear the thought of losing the race to the moon, especially to its biggest enemy. The first country to establish a base on the moon would wield enormous power, militarily, scientifically, and politically. The U.S. was determined to be that country. Project Horizon was the most audacious military proposal since World War II. The U.S. Army envisioned a manned military outpost on the moon, a base that would monitor Earth, conduct military operations, and serve as a launchpad for future space missions. The moon was not just a scientific curiosity, but a new frontier in the quest for dominance. But the risks were high. To pull off such an ambitious project, the U.S. needed cutting-edge technology, rockets capable of carrying people and heavy cargo, vehicles that could navigate the moon's rugged terrain, and advanced survival equipment. But building such technology wasn't easy, and the U.S. turned to a controversial source for help: former Nazi scientists. After World War II, while other countries sought treasures and war criminals, the U.S. sought Nazi rocket scientists, particularly those behind the deadly V-2 rocket. Among them was Wernher von Braun, the mastermind behind Germany's missile program. Instead of facing trial for his wartime actions, von Braun and his team were offered a choice: work for the U.S. or face the consequences at the Nuremberg trials. Led by von Braun, former Nazi scientists became key players in America's quest for space dominance. Von Braun was tasked with designing powerful rockets capable of carrying people and equipment to the moon. Thus began the development of the Saturn I and Saturn II rockets, technological marvels capable of generating enormous amounts of thrust. The Saturn I produced 680 tons of thrust, while its successor, the Saturn II, would achieve an incredible 907 tons of thrust. These rockets were designed to carry tremendous payloads to the moon and beyond. But reaching the moon was just the beginning. To construct the Horizon moon base, the U.S. Army estimated it would need to launch 149 rockets to transport over 245 tons of material. The logistics were staggering. Between 1964 and 1966, the U.S. would need to launch roughly 5 rockets a month to the moon. Even after the base was built, it would take another 64 launches just to keep the outpost operational until 1967. To make this vision a reality, von Braun proposed the establishment of a refueling station in space. Rockets would reach orbit, rendezvous with tankers, and refuel before heading to the moon. A crew of astronauts would live on this orbiting station, managing the delicate refueling process. Once refueled, the rockets would continue their journey to the moon, carrying heavy loads of equipment and personnel. But the mission wasn't just about building rockets. It was about creating a livable environment on the moon. The Horizon base was designed as a network of metal tanks buried deep beneath the lunar surface to shield the crew from the harsh lunar environment. These vacuum-sealed thermoses would house the 9-man construction team, who would work tirelessly to transform the moon into a military outpost. The plan was to have the base fully operational by 1966, housing 12 astronauts at the outpost. Powered by nuclear reactors, the base would be a self-sustaining hub, complete with airlocks, medical facilities, a cold storage unit, and laboratories for scientific research. The U.S. envisioned a bustling lunar base where astronauts would live and work for months at a time. However, the Soviets also had their eyes on the moon. By 1967, they had announced their own plans to build a lunar outpost, raising the possibility of a military confrontation on the moon. To defend the Horizon base, the U.S. planned to deploy powerful weapons, including Claymore mines and the Davy Crockett, a rocket launcher that could fire small nuclear bombs on the moon. Even a small hole in a spacesuit could be lethal on the moon, making defense a high priority. Despite the thrilling vision of a lunar base, President Dwight D. Eisenhower ultimately deemed Project Horizon too expensive. With an estimated cost of $6 billion at the time, roughly $53.5 billion today, the project was simply too much for a country already engaged in the Vietnam War. As ambitious as the plan was, it was never meant to be. But what if the Soviet Union had landed on the moon before the United States and started building their own military base? Mysterious bases on the moon. In the thrilling race to the moon, the United States launched 6 Apollo missions, famously culminating in Apollo 11's historic landing by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. But leaked photos suggest the astronauts discovered more than NASA told us. During these missions, an astronaut captured some intriguing photos. These photos ended up in the hands of Ken Johnston, a former NASA contractor. The images revealed a mysterious dome-like structure on the moon, connected by smaller domes. This strange formation doesn't appear natural and suggests there may have been a secret space station on the moon before the Apollo mission landed. The photo was taken by chance because the structure was mostly hidden in darkness. The area it was located in didn't seem natural to many. The image points to something extraordinary that can't be ignored or easily explained. Ken Johnston became even more suspicious when the program director dismissed the images. He was told not to share them with anyone. Ken knew he was onto something big. The secrecy confirmed his belief that there was more to the moon missions than what was being told to the world. NASA isn't just keeping secrets about what's happening on the moon. They're also hiding crucial details about what's really going on here on Earth. Strange object hovering over military base. While many videos and photos have been leaked suggesting we are not alone on the planet, the space agency remains silent. On April 20th, 2021, something extraordinary happened at Camp Wilson Military Base in 29 Palms, California. 6 cameras recorded the event, and 50 U.S. Marines witnessed it live. How do you explain such clear and undeniable proof that there is something mysterious out there? The most compelling footage was captured by an officer. It showed a clearly UFO, triangle-shaped object hovering over the desert mountains with bright lights on its edges. Witnesses reported that the strange sighting lasted for 10 minutes, between 8:24 and 8:30 in the evening. The dark triangle-shaped object moved slowly across the sky. At 8:29, one video recorded personnel firing a flare into the sky to illuminate the object better. The flare revealed 5 red lights emanating from the UFO. The sheer size of the object made it impossible to miss. Speaking of things that are still impossible to miss, the next image is as clear as it gets. Alien presence on Mars. A striking new image has rocked the world of space science. Even the most skeptical scientists are now finding it hard to ignore the possibility that the strange circular and spiky objects seen on Mars could be debris from an extraterrestrial crash site. This startling image came from the 2022 Mars missions, captured by NASA's Mars rover Curiosity on its 110th day. The picture shows a semicircular shape embedded in the sediment. This shape bears a suspicious resemblance to the side of a spacecraft, similar to those reported numerous times on Earth. But that's not all. The image also shows narrow protrusions sticking out of the Martian soil. These strange formations appear to be rows of spikes, plates, and wedges protruding from the rocks in the vast 96-mile Gale crater recorded by the Curiosity rover. These bizarre structures add even more mystery to the possibility of a crashed spacecraft on Mars. The main reason for crashes in such environments is usually technical problems. So what happens when NASA sends astronauts out with faulty equipment? Space equipment. While everyone remembers Neil Armstrong and his famous words on the moon, few may remember the last man to walk on the lunar surface, or what he said. That man was Commander Gene Cernan, and during his mission, something unexpected happened. And for that reason alone, NASA refused to give him the same publicity as Neil. Cernan accidentally broke a fender off the lunar rover. This small but crucial part was designed to protect him and fellow astronaut Harrison Schmitt from the thick lunar dust the rover would kick up. Without it, they were in trouble. The dust wasn't just a nuisance, it also caused the equipment to overheat, coating their suits, solar panels, and radiators. It became a major problem. Apollo 17 was all about driving on the moon, and with the broken fender, Cernan couldn't help but worry. That night, he barely slept, wondering if the mission was in jeopardy. But Schmitt remained hopeful, reminding him that Mission Control would find a way to fix it. And they did. With a laminated map and some duct tape, the astronauts fashioned a makeshift fender. The mission was saved. What makes this story even more incredible is that the same thing happened on Apollo 16 and Apollo 15. It seemed like a problem that NASA couldn't fix, but for some reason, they kept sending astronauts to the moon with these subpar rovers. Despite the challenges, Cernan and Schmitt returned home safely. What did they leave behind? The face on Mars. The Mars rover continues its exciting journey on the planet, landing in new areas as part of its research mission. But what it keeps finding goes beyond ordinary rocks. It uncovers mysteries that leave us wanting more. One of the most intriguing places it has explored is Cydonia, a region that stretches for about 3 kilometers. This area has sparked both scientific curiosity and wild imagination. And recently, that interest has exploded with a new image sent back from space that captured something truly remarkable. Between 2 large craters, Arandus and Bamberg, something strange appeared in one of the photographs. It looked startlingly like a human face carved into the Martian surface. This eerie image quickly became known as the face on Mars. It was first spotted in an image taken on July 25, 1976, by the Viking 1 spacecraft. The face sat prominently on a 1.2 kilometers long mesa, located at 40.75 degrees north latitude and 9.46 degrees west longitude. While NASA initially dismissed it as just a trick of the light, the mysterious image captivated everyone who saw it. Then came the second surprise. Another image, labeled 070A13, showed not a face, but a similarly shaped formation, deepening the mystery. This discovery was made not by NASA scientists, but by 2 computer engineers, Vincent DiPietro and Gregory Molinar, who were searching through NASA's archives. What they found seemed to hint at something more, something waiting to be uncovered beneath the Martian surface. Could these strange formations just be coincidences, or are they clues to an ancient mystery on the red planet? Man-made structure on Mars. On February 25, 2014, something remarkable happened. It had been 554 days since the Mars Curiosity rover landed on the red planet. That day, it sent back new high-resolution photos of the Martian landscape. When people on Earth looked at the pictures, they noticed something strange. Amateur archaeologists spotted what appeared to be a human-like statue near a place called Dingo Gap. This discovery was just one of many curious objects that resembled things we know from Earth, like a sarcophagus, a Buddha statue, and even a cross. People began to wonder if Mars had an ancient civilization. The objects looked so much like statues that it was hard to ignore them. Some even believed that these were the last remaining signs of a lost civilization after a major disaster on Mars. Could these really be remnants of a lost civilization on Mars? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. They believe some of these artifacts may even have counterparts on Earth. There seem to be pyramids, obelisks, and structures resembling Stonehenge or the Sphinx on Mars. Could the structures on Mars be real and man-made? While most scientists say it's impossible, history has taught us not to dismiss the unexpected. Water on Mars was once considered impossible, but now we know it exists. So we wonder if these structures are real, who built them, and what happened to their civilization.